you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about it.
This whole damn border debate is made up.
This investigation revealed that Donald Trump engaged in years of illegal conduct.
Mr. President.
That inflation is really hurting.
Donald Trump gets sued by the New York Attorney General and also gives an interview on whether or not he believes the president can just declassify things. So a lot of Trump news right now. Joe Biden was lost and confused on the national stage yet again. Interest rates going up. Gavin Newsom says there's no debate on the border, which I actually think he's right on that. And more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live had a little bit of a technical glitch just now, so give me a second, because it's the whole thing where we say it starts right now. Can't happen. It starts right now.
2, 1.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually their name, Jobob.
From the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. On today, it is September 22nd, the year of our Lord 2022. New UN 22 is done. It's over with. If you haven't started the new UN 22, it's the saying is still cool and rhymey, but it's too late for you. Sorry, there's nothing we can do. I want to start right away. So Trump gave an interview yesterday to Sean Hannity that was kind of interesting in the fact that he talked about the questions that I've been having and a lot of legal minds have been having, not that I'm a legal mind, but a lot of legal minds, talking heads have been having the same question. When you talk about quote unquote classified documents, I don't know why I air quoted classified documents, they're actually classified. But when you talk about classified documents, what constitutes as declassifying those documents? Remember several weeks ago when the first news broke about Mar-a-Lago and the Trump home being invaded by the FBI, and he was harboring classified documents. And what is a classified document? Who can classify them? Who can declassify them? All of that stuff. When we were asking all of those questions originally, we were asking the question, well, how do documents get declassified? And we found out constitutionally, and I believe, well, I'm not going to speak to that. Basically, there's no real set way to declassify documents. In the past, and I think I was reading Jonathan Turley who was saying this, legal analyst guy, if you don't know who that is, saying, well, the president declassifies documents whenever he or she wants to, but there's no process to it. Sometimes in the past, people have filled out paperwork and decided to, make up, oh, this is the form that you fill out. That's not legally required, at least that I was aware of. Well, Donald Trump gave an interview to Sean Hannity that aired last night on Fox, in which he talks about how documents get declassified and kind of answered questions, at least how he views it. And I don't know, it seems like it kind of makes sense. So listen to this clip. We'll talk about it on the other side. Again, kind of interesting here with the classified documents. Also, in case you didn't catch this, Trump is also getting sued. This is a different Trump story, but 2 stories in one day of some pretty big news regarding the former president. Anyways, watch this clip. We'll discuss on the other side. Oh, also, by the way, there's a couple thousand of you watching this. I would appreciate it if you click the little like button, the little share button, or just engage in any way, shape, or form. Give us a comment. Let us know what you think about Trump's lawsuit that's being filed against him from the state of New York. All of that sort of stuff. We'd really appreciate you doing so. It helps us continue doing the show. Anyways, without further ado, watch this.
People say different things, but as I understand, there doesn't have to be. If you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about it, because you're sending it to Mar-a-Lago or to wherever you're sending it. And there doesn't have to be a process. There can be a process, but there doesn't have to be. You're the.
Yeah, so that's the thing that everybody's trying to figure out. If the crime, so to speak, is, well, he had classified documents. Well, maybe he didn't. Maybe he just waved his hand over the box of magic He's waved his hand over the box and magically declassified those documents. Maybe there's an incantation that he stated in his own head that declassified documents. I would like to think that if the shoe was on the other foot, and this was like Barack Obama, who, by the way, also took a bunch of documents from the White House. I don't think any of them are quote unquote classified, but maybe it was such that he went through the process, whatever made up process he made to quote unquote declassify them. But I would like to think if the shoe was on the other foot, I would think the same thing. Like, hey, the president of the United States can decide whether or not documents are declassified. In the same way, right? I don't know how much we talked about this story on Monday. I can't remember. This week feels like a blur to me. But at the risk of going off the rails too much, when Joe Biden gave his 60 Minutes interview, he said, "We would defend Taiwan." The White House immediately walked it back on the 60 Minutes program right after he said, "We would absolutely militarily defend Taiwan." The program themselves, said a White House official, said that that's not the case, and we are maintaining strategic ambiguity. But the thing is, Joe Biden can say that. He's the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, and therefore can dictate policy whenever he wants. And it seems like in the same fashion, Donald Trump can, I don't know legally whether or not this is going to hold up, but it seems like he can say, these documents are declassified and they're no longer whatever, because he's the president of the United States, and doesn't necessarily have to do anything about that. So I don't know. I would like to think that, I'd hope the only objective here is to be fair about things. So if this was the shoe was on the other foot and this was a president that I was not super fond of, I would like to think that, like, yeah, legally speaking, this is fine. So anyways, that being said, I want to move to this pretty quickly. The New York Attorney General has filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump and the family. Now, this is kind of interesting from a lot of different angles. There's a legal angle here. There's a business angle here. There's a political angle. Uh-oh, hold on. I used the mute button for the first time to sneeze. If you're just watching or if you're just listening to the podcast, there's a big old sneeze. If you watched it, you saw it, but you didn't hear it because we have a cough button here, and I was able to get to it in time. Anyways, the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, sued Donald Trump on Wednesday for different business practices. Now, let's see. Let's go from the business angle first, right? You know what? Actually, sorry. Let me play this clip. Let her kind of explain why she filed a lawsuit. Then we'll go from the business side, the legal side, then the political side. Check this out. And we'll talk about it on the other side. Actually, let me know what you think in the comment section too. I'm curious to see what we think here, especially the fact that politics are involved, which is not awesome. All right, check it out.
This investigation revealed that Donald Trump engaged in years of illegal conduct to inflate his net worth, to deceive banks and the people of the great state of New York. Claiming you have money that you do not have does not amount to the art of the deal. It's the art of the steal. And there cannot be different rules for different people in this country or in this state. And former presidents are no different. And so today we are making good on that promise, on our commitment, because no one is above the law.
So I wanted to play that whole way through because I thought that was a Barack Obama-esque pause of no one is above the law. Barack Obama was very, very good at implementing those types of pauses in his speech. That was not very well executed, I don't think. Anyways, from a business angle, so first things first, we'll go from the legal side. This is a lawsuit, not a criminal charge. There is a big difference, and it's not a distinction without a difference. There's a huge actual difference here going on between a criminal charge and a criminal probe versus a civil lawsuit. So the state of New York, the Attorney General of the state of New York, filed a civil lawsuit, not criminal charges. Here's the big main differences. When you're charging for a criminal charge, you need to prove that a person committed a crime beyond a reasonable doubt. However, when you are suing someone on a civil suit basis, the burden of proof goes down substantially. I think the difference is huge because that has political implications. Clearly, at least I think, from a political side and from a legal side, I'm not an attorney, but have a decent sense about these things. If the Attorney General of New York had enough evidence to compile a criminal case, she would have done so. But because I don't think they believed they have the full proof, and because we're on the business side of this is all kind of flimsy, but we'll get to that in a second. But because I don't think she had the unequivocal proof that the Trump family, the Trump organization, and Donald Trump himself committed business crimes, instead they're charging them with a civil suit, which again has a much more lower burden of proof required in order to win the civil suit. New York Attorney General Letitia James on Wednesday sued former President Donald Trump, the Trump organization, 3 of his adult children, and others allegedly involved with fraud, falsifying financial statements related to their company. The lawsuit seeks $250 million in damages. Mr. Trump's statement, that doesn't matter. The lawsuit also seeks to permanently bar Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and Ivanka Trump from serving as an officer of a company in New York, and permanently prohibited the Trump companies named in the suit from doing business in New York State. Now, from a legal standpoint, clearly you can get around those. Okay, so Donald Trump, Eric Trump, Trump Jr., and Ivanka, if this were to pass, or if this were to see its way entirely through, they wouldn't be able to work in a company serve as an officer of a company in New York. Okay, well, we just move the headquarters of the company to somewhere else, and everybody in the New York office just works remotely. That's just a PR thing. And I doubt they would be able to bar Trump companies from doing business in the state of New York. But the bottom line is this. From a business side, what this lawsuit is alleging is that Donald Trump, Trump Jr., Ivanka, Eric, and the Trump organization lied to investors, loan officers, banks about the value of properties. In other words, something that business people do all the time. And it is such a shame that those massive banks that are willing and able to loan hundreds of millions of dollars aren't able to do their own due diligence. It is such a shame that they have to take the word of the business or the clients as a whole. There's no way that they could look into whether or not this person was going to be able to pay back this loan. They just have to take the word of the company seeking the loan. Of course, that's not true. My biggest gripe and quibble with this sort of thing is that people, everybody, if they're looking to take a loan out against a property that they already own, XYZ, and we're not to get into this whole real estate loan and financing stuff. It's fascinating, but I don't want to bore you to death. But if you're going to take out a loan against a property, you want that property to be valued as high as humanly possible. So if you have a property that you're looking to take out money against, you're going to say the highest number. This is standard business practice. And it's up to the institution that's loaning you the money to double check. If I were to say that the home that my wife and I live in is worth $3 million, and I would like to take out $2.5 million based on that $3 million valuation, the bank isn't just going to say, oh, yes, sir, of course. You can just, your house is definitely worth $3 million. Here's a check for the $2 million equity loan, and good luck to you. No, the bank is going to do their own due diligence, especially at that level. You don't just give people money based on what they say. And so what I'm getting at here is because I'm pretty sure they probably did inflate the numbers. But when they do inflate the numbers, it's not solely up to them to give that information to the loan institutions. It's also up to the institutions to say, No, Mar-a-Lago isn't valued at $750 million. It's actually more like $74 million, which I think is an actual number that was being brought up in this particular lawsuit. Not to say that I think it's right that people try to inflate their value of their existing properties, to inflate their net worth, to be able to draw down money against that net worth or valuation. Not to say that that's right. I'm just saying that everybody does it. And financial institutions aren't just sitting ducks waiting to be taken advantage of. So there's that. From a political standpoint, too, you got to remember that the New York Attorney General runs for that seat. I believe, at least in California they do, and pretty much every other state. They definitely run for that seat. Letitia James is a politician, and apparently going against Trump, not apparently, it's obvious to everybody involved and everybody watching, if you go against Donald Trump and if you sue Donald Trump, you will be the darling of the left, especially in places like New York. Gabriel, frequent correspondent, said she just wants her 10 minutes of fame. That's exactly it. From a political standpoint, she wants to be on the pedestal of New York politics because clearly she's seeking higher office. I don't know if that's to run for governor in the future. Who knows if it's to run for Chuck Schumer's seat once he's gone, because I would imagine she would be a pretty good shoo-in. But that's what it is. I'm not sure what this is regarding, but John said she's running in 2022. Is that Schumer's seat? Oh, she's running for Attorney General in 2022. There we go. Okay, there we go. That makes a lot of sense as to why you would do something like this. She got her 15 minutes of fame. She's going to be on all the TV talk shows. She's going to get her name out there as much as humanly possible. Julie says, talk about a political stunt. Yes, that seems to be what this is. But who knows? Maybe, who knows? Things in this crazy world right now are so unpredictable. Who actually knows? Let's see. I want to get to the current president, who seemed lost at the UN. So just FYI, right now, given all of the things happening internationally, on an international stage, I don't like the president being made fun of. Whoever the president is, whether it's Barack Obama, Donald Trump, George Bush, Joe Biden, on an international stage, I want us to look strong and to look like we have our stuff together domestically and domestic policy-wise. And again, I can agree with the president on foreign policy too, but domestically speaking, I'm all about hitting the person that I don't agree with. But on an international stage, I want the representative for the United States to look strong regardless who it is. I was in Israel last week for the last 2 weeks. That's why we were gone, in case you were wondering where that is. But the amount of people who were looking at the United States and looking at Joe Biden in Israel going, what in the world is going on over there? I don't like that. I want the president of the United States to project power that we have, regardless of whether or not I agree with him or her on policy. Joe Biden yesterday gave a speech to the UN General Assembly in which he talked about Russia's invasion on Ukraine. So we didn't talk about this much, but I believe it was, Monday or Tuesday, Vladimir Putin came out. He's now calling up 300,000 soldiers. He's doubling down, basically. Vladimir Putin is getting his butt kicked in Ukraine, mostly in part to all of the aid that we're giving, and that's a different conversation for a different time. Because I'm not necessarily opposed to helping out a sovereign nation defend off a bigger nation that's just deciding to attack. But at the same time, a bunch of other European countries that this is happening in their own backyard said, yes, we will help also, and have done jack squat. So different conversation, different time. Anyways, Vladimir Putin is getting his butt kicked all across Ukraine and decided to double down this week, saying he's going to bring 300,000 troops and also threatened nuclear attacks on countries who decided to aid Ukraine against Vladimir Putin. Joe Biden gave a speech. The speech wasn't bad. He said all of the things that I think he should have said regarding that speech. But then he went to this other event, at the Global Fund, whatever that was. And when he was done with his speech, he did something yet again that made us all go, dude. This is the president. If you're just listening to this, sorry, it's going to be a couple seconds of blank silence and kind of wandering around. But watch this if you're watching, and I don't know, be irritated with me, because this is not how I would like to project the United States onto the world stage. But yet again, Joe Biden is confused, wandering around on stage and not knowing where he is. Also, if you haven't already, I'm looking at the number. There's a couple thousand of you watching this, and I really, really do appreciate it, but I would appreciate it so much more if you click the little like button or the little share button specifically, or just engage with the post in any way, shape, or form. What do you think the president should exude when on the world stage in the comment section? Just any engagement with the post helps us out a ton, especially if you're watching on Facebook, Getter, Twitter, or YouTube. Anyways, watch this clip. It will, it'll make you go, oh boy, watch it.
Mr. President, thank you. At the end of such a momentous event, the word thank you seems kind of inadequate, but for all the millions whose lives will be saved, for the communities where life will be transformed, thank you. So thank you, President Biden, for your outstanding...
Does anybody know what was happening there? I would love to see in the comment section what you think. I was reading through a couple comments while that was happening. Dude is just wandering around, and then this guy says, Mr. President, I don't know if he was supposed to go down or what, but he can't think, and that irritates me a lot. It just hurts to watch. John says, ha ha ha, yeah. Yeah. Linda says, oh my gosh, yeah, dude. So, but the thing is, I don't want the president of the United States to make us all look bad, regardless of how much I disagree with him. Kathy says, my God, FJB just had a brain fart. I forget what FJB stands for, if anybody can remind me. I don't know, just my memory's fading a little bit. Anybody have that? Raina says, time for Joe to go. There's a bunch of other people. Karen said that she believes Putin will actually follow through with nukes, so that's a problem, or would be a massive problem. Amelia said he's embarrassing, which is, again, my point entirely. I don't want the United States to be looked at on the world stage as Joe Biden is making us look. But that's enough of that. On to who is the guy who's going to be running for the presidency next cycle. Gavin Newsom running for president in 2024 is the worst kept secret since, I don't know, Kim Kardashian's butt. That was a bad example. I don't know why. I should have thought of that more. But Gavin Newsom is on the stage here. If you don't know, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, trying to pin himself as the anti-Ron DeSantis. But on a stage being asked, hey, how come there's so many people leaving California for Texas, and there's not really any Texans moving from Texas to California? And then Gavin Newsom goes into a border thing that I actually agree with him a little bit. Now, I don't agree with him in the point that he was making. I agree with the actual verbiage. He didn't make it as clearly as he thought he did, and therefore said something true. Watch this clip, and we'll discuss on the other side.
Are more people leaving California for Texas or leaving Texas for California?
Well, we lost about 182,000 folks in the last census.
But how do you explain that against the backdrop of those very remarkable statistics you just cited?
Many factors, and there's been two deep analysis that drives the number one factor. The vast majority, almost the entire amount, impacted because of the visa policies in the Trump administration. I mean, our formula for success is getting first-round draft choices around the rest of the world. I mean, we're as dumb as we want to be. This whole damn border debate is made up.
Oh.
It's made up. Where's Congress? Where the hell are they? They haven't done their job.
Gavin Newsom saying that the whole border debate is made up. Here's the thing, though. He's right. The border debate is actually made up. Again, this is not in the way that he says it. He's making some other point, but not clearly enough because he's Gavin. He's kind of a lunkhead and doesn't really know, how to speak entirely clearly all the time. But the border debate is kind of made up in that everybody agrees that we should have a strong border. I was trying to find the Gallup poll. I saw a Gallup poll recently that was like 75 to 80% of Americans believe that we need to have a strong border security along the southern border. Everybody agrees. There is no debate on the border. And yet, the Biden administration doesn't want to look bad and continues to waffle on what I think is probably the biggest issue in the country at the moment, especially because the numbers just came out from the CBP that 2 million, almost 2.1 million people in the last fiscal year. There's still a month left to go in the fiscal year, and we have 2.1 million people crossing the border. So when Gavin says there's no debate, he's right. Because there isn't. Everybody agrees that you need to lock the border down. Pick a number of how many immigrants you'd like to come into the country every year, and then stop everybody else. Everyone agrees. This isn't actually a debate, Gavin. You're right. The point he was trying to make is, there's no crisis at the southern border. This everything is fine down there. But he didn't make it right and accidentally said something true, that there is no debate. The border, the debate on the southern border is made up. Yes, it is. There's no constituency for what's happening right now. Nobody is out there saying, yes, this is a great thing. So there's that. We didn't get to this yesterday, and I wanted to get to it today. There's a Jerome Powell clip that I was going to play about interest rates going up, but I'm not going to play that. I wanted to get to this because I thought it was hilarious. Don Lemon got owned on his own show. He was talking to somebody about reparations. I believe this is somebody from the UK that's tangentially involved with the Queen. I don't know who this person is. But he said, hey, since you guys have so much money, how about reparations to the people who were slaves? And reparation. The whole reparations thing is bananas. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know how it would be a workable solution to any problem, but yet still people push it, including Don Lemon. Anyways, dude got owned. This is a pretty long clip, but it's worth every second of it because this lady took him to town and logically tangled him into a gigantic knot, to which at the end of this, and you'll see this, he says, okay, those are some interesting points. Next topic. Watch this, Don Lemon. Also, last time I'm going to ask, if you haven't already, there's way more of you watching right now than have clicked the little like button, the little share button. Would really appreciate you doing so. It really, really does actually help us out. Let us know what you think in the comment section. Again, algorithmically keeps this show rolling. Make sure we can do it every single day. Appreciate you doing so. Thank you in advance. Without further ado, Don Lemon gets pwned on his own show. Watch it.
Well, this is coming when, there's all of this wealth and you hear about it comes as England is facing rising costs of living, a living crisis, austerity budget cuts, and so on. And then you have those who are asking for reparations for colonialism, and they're wondering, $100 billion, $24 billion here and there, $500 million there. Some people want to be paid back, and members of the public are wondering, why are we suffering when you have all of this vast wealth? Those are legitimate concerns.
Well, I think you're right about reparations in terms of if people want it, though, what they need to do is you always need to go back to the beginning of a supply chain. Where was the beginning of the supply chain? That was in Africa. And across the entire world, when the slavery was taking place, which was the first nation in the world that abolished slavery? The first nation in the world to abolish it. It was started by William Wilberforce, was the British. In Great Britain, they abolished slavery. 2,000 naval men died on the high seas trying to stop slavery. Why? Because the African kings were rounding up their own people. They had them on cages waiting in the beaches. No one was running into Africa to get them. And I think you're totally right. If reparations need to be paid, We need to go right back to the beginning of that supply chain and say who was rounding up their own people and having them handcuffed in cages. Absolutely, that's where they should start. And maybe, I don't know, the descendants of those families where they died in the high seas trying to stop the slavery, that those families should receive something too, I think, at the same time.
It's an interesting discussion, Hillary. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We'll continue to discuss in the future.
Oh, man. Okay, so, I mean, just to quickly summarize, she said, yeah, go back to the beginning of the supply chain. You want to talk reparations. We need to go to those kings in Africa that rounded up their own people and sold them into slavery. Those are the people that need to pay reparations. Good luck finding them. Hilarious. Kimberly says, if Lemon knew his history, maybe he wouldn't be so shocked at her response. Mic drop. Yeah, it's exactly the case. Gabriel says, you told him to pound sand. Kelly says, this woman clapback is amazing. Yeah, no, that, I don't know. Honestly, I've never heard that argument before. Well, kind of, not put so succinctly and so coherently. But that's the argument. You want to talk about reparations? If reparations are ever coming up in a public forum, wherever you are, just say, yes, I agree. Let's go to those former African kings and figure out who sold those people into slavery and make them pay us reparations. I'm all about it. Hilarious. Just hilarious. We got a couple comments here that I want to get to regarding the border that I thought was funny. Barbara says, has Newsom been to the border? Has anyone asked them that? Has Biden been to the border? No. That's correct. I don't think Gavin's been to the border. I don't think Biden's been to the border. Now, in fairness, I don't necessarily know entirely that someone needs to go see the border in order to understand what's going on. I have a pretty good concept of what's going on. I believe all of you have a pretty good concept of what's going on and don't actually need to go there physically to see it, to go, oh yeah, this is nuts. Fortunately, there are people there with cameras and insight that are doing that for us. But interesting point, yeah, they are completely ignoring it entirely. I wanted to get to this. John says 2 million extra voters, referring to the 2 million illegal immigrants that have crossed into our country. I would say, yeah, maybe. I think a lot of the super woke progressive ideology does not align with a lot of the values of the people that are coming over. I think that's what the gamble is that the left and the Democrats are making. I think their gamble is, yes, I think we're going to get voters here when they just come over illegally and then future generations will vote for us. But the direction of the super progressive, crazy woke left, the far left that is pulling the party their direction, their ideals don't jive with the ideals that of the people that are coming here. We're talking about a, generally speaking, very religious Catholic South Central Americans who are not going to be cool with teachers telling their kids without their permission, yeah, you might be the opposite of what you are. You might be a different gender, and maybe we should mutilate you to make sure that you can feel the way you should feel. Yeah, I don't think the culture of people that are coming across the border, and I don't believe they should be coming across the border, but the people that are coming across the border, I don't think those values are going to stand up with them. I think they're going to, if anything, they're coming from Venezuela in a lot of cases. And I'm not saying that we should let people in, but I think the gamble of them voting for Democrats in the future is not a good one. The people coming from Venezuela are fleeing socialism, the exact thing that Democrats are trying to put into power now, and also are not going to be cool with the crazy social ideologies that are coming out of the mainstream Democrats at the moment. So there's that. Let's see. Any other comments that we should get to? Jeff says Hannity needs to get her on his show. Yeah, that lady that roasted Don Lemon. Don Lemon's moving to the mornings, by the way. He's not going to be the night guy at CNN anymore, which I was shocked that they kept him on board. They're cleaning house over there, and I think it's a good thing. I honestly think the CNN is at least making an attempt. I have a CNN Sucks shirt that I wear frequently on this show because I do believe in the last, 6 years they have sucked hard. But CNN used to be, slightly left of center, but pretty down the middle and pretty fair. their online news articles are, relatively fair when it comes to making arguments and editorializing. But I do think that CNN is trying to moderate more because I don't think they can compete with MSNBC, and also the facts aren't on their side at this point. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. Don Lemon taking over the mornings slots and not doing the evening stuff as he used to do. So we'll see. Who knows? Maybe sink, maybe swim. That's going to do it for us today. Really, really appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. I know I promised that we're going to be doing this Jobob Unlimited podcast soon. Maybe that day is today. I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? But if you want to catch it, you can find me on any of your social media platforms at JOBOB on Instagram and Getter and Truth Social. Everything else, you should just type in JOBOB. The Chiron on Facebook is still wrong. I have not changed that, and at this point, have no intention to. But you can find me anywhere. Just type in JOBOB. You'll find me. Also, to those of you streaming on Getter, appreciate you doing so. Would love to, if you hit the little follow button down there, actually on Twitter too, and on Facebook and YouTube, but Getter specifically, we're making a big push over there because those guys are great and really appreciate what they're doing in this whole war on free speech. So if you're watching on Getter, hello, we'll see you tomorrow. And yeah, that's, what is it? We'll say Thursday. Wow, tomorrow's Friday, little Friday already, and big Friday tomorrow. What a week. Just flew by. So much fun. So many clips. We may talk about that stuff that I've been pushing off for the last couple of days on The View that happened the other day, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen in the next couple days in the next couple hours that make the news tomorrow. We'll see you then. See you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Same time, same place. Mañana. God bless America.